earth friendly green refrigerant. Topic covered today by Mr. Ganesham. So just to talk about Mr. is based in Bangalore, currently handling tech of Carrier Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Limited. He started his career 42 years back in India. During his
I think I should, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Ashok, I think you are not audible. I think we have an issue at we have an issue with the Ashok's connection, I suppose. So on his behalf, I will take over. Once again, from my end, a warm welcome to all of you from IBC programs team. We have a wonderful program today, Earth Friendly Green Refrigerants, from Mr. Ganeshan, who is one of our senior most members, and he's been highly regarded for his technical talks. So, a brief introduction about Mr. Ganeshan. He's based in Bangalore, currently handling technical service and service support for the Commercial Applied Service Division of Carrier Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Limited, one of the leading HVAC manufacturer company in the country. He has started his career uh, 42 years back with Voltas Limited, a leading manufacturing and contracting company in India. During his 26 years of association with Voltas, he worked in various positions in many branches across India. Thereafter, moved to Carrier Corporation 16 years back and has been handling technical and service support operations. He has traveled to various countries and has been trained in many new generation HVAC products like centrifugal, screw, and absorption chillers, specialist in handling variable frequency drive and high voltage range of chillers. Mr. Ganeshan is a life member of ISHRE, and he was a member of IBC chapter governing body during 2006 and 7. Uh, Mr. Ganeshan speaks and writes often in AC and R subjects, troubleshooting being his favorite topic. He has written many service related articles in ISHRE training programs. uh, he is also one of the guest faculties for the ISHRE Institute of Excellence, Bangalore chapter. We welcome Mr. Ganeshan, and on this Earth Day, to having chosen to speak about green refrigerants. It's our privilege, sir. We hand this session over to you. But before we go forward, one quick note to all the listeners is that please take note of the disclaimer. As you would all got the thing, the views expressed in presentation made at webinar or other webinars are those of speaker and not necessarily of ISHRE. Presentations or the presence does not constitute an endorsement of the vendor or speaker's views, products, or services. This is a mandatory disclaimer which we normally uh, put put up. So I suppose all the members have taken note of it. Now I welcome Mr. Ganeshan to take over. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And good evening to you all. And once again, welcome you for today's Earth Day special technical session to know about Earth friendly green refrigerants. I'm very much thankful to ISHRE Bangalore chapter for organizing this special session, which we all know that it is very much essential in today's context. Of many quote which I come across on Earth Day special, this one I like very much. That means every day is an Earth Day. That's a lot of meaning in that. That is because, like many other industries, HVAC industry also consume millions of kilowatts on our day-to-day operation. And hence, if we properly design, erect, and operate efficiently each and every equipment, HVAC equipment connected with HVAC, we can save a lot of power on a daily basis. So this will, to some extent, yes, to reduce the indirect emissions and keep our Earth to some extent cool. Refrigerants used in HVAC systems play a vital role in contributing energy efficiency. And let's understand about the Earth-friendly green refrigerants in the following sessions. Okay, so the agenda which we will cover today is the history, that is a refrigerants timeline, then the legislation, ozone depletion, global warming potential, how it is, refrigerant selections, and then we'll see what is refrigerant management moving forward. So a little bit of history on refrigerants. Okay, so it started 1830 with the natural gas refrigerants. So vapor compression, all which just discovered in first cooling units tested with the only pure natural refrigerant. Then a new AC invented started, that means mechanical refrigeration has been started. Then we have seen a solution for that now. Then the development of R12, which replaces the unsafe, the natural refrigerants over there, which was previously used. Then again, problem. So that means then there been chlorine and CFC, HCFC destructing the ozone molecules. So then they said, okay, what we should do? So let's go for then the whole the global teams met and formed a Montreal Protocol, signed, gradually banned CFC and HCFC worldwide. Then what's further? Again, further problem. They said, okay, that is not only sufficient now, then we also need to see the global warming, addressing the global warming. So then we have gone into the Kyoto Protocol to reduce the greenhouse gases, but it never really took off as expected. So then we again fluorinated gas has been concentrated. Then it has come to the amendment we call first HSO release for testing and approval on the auto ACs initially. Then now the new generation refrigerant. That means with the Kigali amendment signed, so we will go through more details in latest science. Okay, so now a lot of technical guidelines based on the Kigali to reduce the HFC and to promote the low GWP solutions in the current stages. Okay, let's understand what is ozone depletions. Okay, so for the youngsters and the new people, which I'm just touching upon, so many people knows about this. So ozone is a whole is a reductions of the concentrated of ozone in a portion of the stratosphere. Ozone concentration is measured in Dobson units. The lower the unit, the lower the concentrations are. The whole changes in size and shape during the year due to weather, climate, and other factors now. The overall size, a good thing is there now with all the controls in place. Now the overall size is getting smaller. That means the healing is already started taking place as per the latest analysis reports due to the reduced use of CFC and HCFC and also other greenhouse initiatives now. So why it is so important now? Basically, we all know that light from the sun reaches the earth in a wide spectrum of different wavelengths now. So that means UVA, it has got some 280 to 380 nanometers, and UVB is 350 to 400, and the one which is visible is 400 to 700, and infrared is around greater than 700. Okay, out of which now the UVB lights have been linked to the light damage such as tanning and the sunburn to more serious about such as the skin cancer, eye cataracts, macular degeneration, immune system suppressions, and skin aging, etc. So that's why there's a whole theme went into that. Now we need to really more focus on the UVB, how to reduce it. Okay, then after understanding the problem, the whole global team next Montreal Protocol has been done. UNEP, that United Nations Environment Program, has been developed. So, and in that, so the various discussion has been taking place, and so this can go into the different level. Basically, we see that different phases of the country-wise how to phase out. Does not, but it was not affecting the existing unit actually. So, and refrigerant with chlorine, specifically CFC and HFCs, so has been concentrated more. So introduced a law in 1990 to amend the Clean Room Act, that is an additional one, on scheduled to eliminate the CFC and HCFC in low-end units. There was the first decision taken globally. So ODP, if you really see that basically 0 is low zone depletion and 1 is the higher depletions. So the one what we need to measure the relative degradation of ozone layer compared to the R level. Basically. So the molecule and also the molecular life is more significant than the number of chlorine in it. Basically, you can see that now R11 is number 1. So R12 is also number 1, but R12, R123, R134A, you can see that there are ODPs almost 0. So R410 and what 134 we still we are using it, and we'll be definitely using it now. We will go a little more in depth with that. So final later one, which was in the Kigali Amendment, so which is currently being followed by many countries now. So it is more focusing on the greenhouse effect. So what is the greenhouse effect now? So to understand that now, see, sunlight passes through the atmosphere and warms the earth.
Mr. Ganeshan, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you please be a bit louder? It's a request from
louder.
A bit louder, please.
Little louder.
And can you be a bit louder, please?
Louder.
Can you be a bit louder, please? The
Oh.
voice is not.
Okay.
Yeah, be a bit louder, please. Yeah.
So the infrared radiation is given off by the Earth. Okay. So this should go back into the stratosphere, that means atmosphere back. So thereby cooling the Earth. But some infrared radiation is trapped by gases in the air, including the CO2, keeping the Earth warm. That is enough to sustain the life now. So this is what increasing the level of CO2 increases the amount of heat retained, causing the atmosphere and Earth's surface to heat up. So this is where now, in current scenario, so the way we call greenhouse, that global warming is there. That case, global warming potential. So the more focus instead of ODP, then we are going more on green GWP. So am I audible now? Clear or?
Yeah, audible, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now, what is it now? Again, global warming, the climate change with the Kyoto Protocol in between, but never really enforced. Then finally, Montreal Protocol, Kigali Amendment. So this is the latest one in the case. Here, if you see that protocol indented to same GWP as a Montreal Protocol, but did for ODP, but without success. But here, it was desired now. Countries represented approved up in 2017. It has been ratified by 65 countries, including European Union countries also. And it was entered into 2019. Now, what Kigali Agreement does is now it regulates the HFCs, does not eliminate any specific refrigerant. Each country to implement as desired based on CO2 equivalents. Several timelines based on countries' state of developments has been implemented and does not restrict use in specific equipment or in service. So this is the, if you see in a graphical form of a Kigali agreement. So we are in, there are 3 categories now. One is developed A2 countries, developing A5 group 1 and developing A5 group 2. So India comes under A5 group 2. So we see that now. So our baselines is going to start from maybe from 2024. And then finally, both HFC and HCFC reductions will start, and it will finally end up to 0 by 2047. So this is the current scenario for us now. So, but that doesn't mean that we are going to continue use. There is already started using the alternative refrigerants and all. So we will go a little more into the future slides. Okay. So we all know, but CO2 equivalent is what now? Basically, 1 pound equivalent effect of the atmosphere. That means GWP on 100-year basis. Now, assuming that CO2 of GW is 1, but assuming if you are using it now for an R12, so the GWP of an R12 is around 10,900 pounds. So that is why that much amount this can sustain in the greenhouse, and it can heat up the warm. So that is why we have taken as a CO2 as a reference case here. Okay. So here, what's the regulatory strategy challenges and changes what we have done in it is now. Earlier, so the ODP regulation in the motor protocol, it has been done. The target was specific refrigerant, but now here specific to equipment and applications. But here the effect is the phased out of CFC. That means HCFC and CFC phased out. But here the regulation of HFC only. Now, country implementation earlier based on the timing and the development. But here each and every country to meet direct CO2 equivalent limit as needed, as I agreed into the Kigali Amendment now. And restricted is that there is restricted production, not consumption on ODP regulations. In GW regulation, restrict new consumption, but not the productions now. So ultimate result is of the ODP was that elimination of CFC and HCFC, but now the reduced greenhouse gases emissions, that means equal to CO2. So what we do now for the future refrigerant. So the refrigerant selections, how it is selected, let's see, which is currently being followed by the world. So the low global warming potential refrigerants are not always better. They're not all created equal also now. Yeah. How do we see? Because even with low GWP refrigerants may actually be worse than the current ones for the environment if they're assuming that if they consume more energy, the loss of capacity, but it may be a more costly and require larger equipments footprint. It would maybe require to change or upgrade the compressors now. But whereas while a few other refrigerants which can leap forward the performance, I mean efficiency in cooling to realize them, huge energy savings and more economical to use next operating envelope now. But in the newly developed refrigerant, also we have a few which can meet our requirement here. So next generation, we currently have 134A, 410A, which if you see, definitely we are not going to throw, because we have seen that up to we have the time limit, and we may go in the phased manner, but let us understand what is good and bad about 134A and 410A. And it's more, many new GWP1 different can be more costly, sometimes worse performance, maybe capacity reduction if you use that, limited availability. While very few will be competitive in cost, better performance, no capacity reduction, but growing availability. Okay. A new option can be complicated. So while globally many research and developments are going on the gas production and development. So the basic criteria which people will see is now whether the new refrigerant is less toxicity, less flammability, equipment capacity, okay, that means it's same to same, or material compatibility, okay, and availability and transport, whether it is available nearby, and the equipment energy efficiency, that is performance, and the equipment footprint. So should I have to really design a more heat exchanger size or the compressor size? For building code adoption, whether it is acceptable to the local code, if I use this refrigerant, if it is more flammable or more toxicity. So there are a lot of building codes which may not accept it. Okay. So a new refrigerant selection cycle generally starts with an environmental impact, sustainability, safety, cost, and performance. So these are all the 5 things if somebody can really make it. That is called an ideal refrigerant. But as on date, till today, we have not come to this ideal refrigerant now. Okay. So the environment, that means if we sustainability, the environmental impact should be lowest energy consumption, because that is the one which is giving 98% of the energy efficiency, that indirect emissions. Now, the lowest global warming, that means it should be direct emissions performance. Zero, that means ODP, shortest atmospheric life, so that it is not going to stay in the atmosphere. It does not decompose into toxic products, even if you let it out. Lowest overall TWI or LCCP. Okay, so what is this total equivalent? TWI is a total equivalent warming impact. It's not only talking about direct emissions, it also talked about indirect emissions. That means it's both direct emission and indirect emissions, both put together, we call total equivalent warming effect, not only related to direct or indirect now. Okay. The typical life cycles of AC emissions, if you really see that now, generally people talk about the direct emissions now. The direct emission means that the percentage of the energy consumption, like now the TWI is the term terminology is coming into the effect now. We will do the life cycle cost and all. So, but if you really see that, so direct emissions maybe 2%. Whereas if you really see that indirect, which is based on the performance, so and energy efficiency is a driver. Reduction in energy is a real key now, which is the almost around 98%, which is definitely is going to affect us. So when developing a new refrigerants now, the industrial is looking for so both TWI case. Sustainability, that means that relatively easy to manufacture. So it's not very complicated because it can be manufactured globally in any places. So potentially available from more and more and source, not only one, so that monopoly will not be there. A reproducible quality, that means wherever I produce, that the quality will remain same. Available raw materials, so it should be available anywhere. Available where when needed in most geographical way. That means it is globally in maybe in US or Europe or Asian countries, it should be available. Consider using of natural replacement of the refrigerant. Safety, very, very important now. The lower flammability and lower toxicity. So even if you buy mistake, if it in the eventually if it is just leaking out in the plant room, so it should not affect the person's operating health and all. So complying with safety standards of the building codes, so that the equipment can be installed in the buildings, chemically stable in the systems, and it will not react with anything else now, and compatible with the system material like copper, steels, and other Teflon, whatever used in that our system equipment, HVAC equipment production. So it should be compatible with that. And it's also available. That means it should not be so complicated that people who can handle this so should know about this, how to use this. So if you really see that the refrigerant classification, it comes into the two is very important. That means the lower toxicity and the lower flammability. So if anything comes into A1 is really the best. Very few refrigerant has passed up to this much level. If you really see 410A is there, or 1233 is there, E is there now currently. Of course, R134A, 407C, but they're all moving forward. We should be moving out now. And R513, so there are some blends. So you can see that other A12 is the next level. That means lower flammability, but you need to take some precautions in there if you are installing inside the systems now. The same is toxicity also, B1, like R123A, R15A, and that. The cost, of course, very, very important now. The refrigerant itself, it should not cost too much that, okay, people can afford to buy this and use it in their equipment. Equipment using the refrigerants, then installations, maintenance, storage, transportations, and of course, the A1 rated. Performance is, of course, what we discussed now. The 98% of TW is very, very important now. That are based on the annual performance, not just like only full load efficiency. Similar footprint, so that I need not go for changing the equipment like for heat exchangers. No issue with material compatibility, lubrication oils and all. It should be available, compatible with the existing available lubricants. Stability within the systems. It should not rather decompose, or the oil return systems. It should not come back. Appropriate thermodynamic properties, so that now the refrigeration effect will be very, very high. Comparable, that means compressor flow rates and discharge pressures and temperatures. It should not be too high and too low. the performance choice of refrigerant is not obvious. Not all GWP refrigerants are the best choice of the environment. High efficiency performance is a big factor today. So that is why 98 TWI versus just 2% of GWP. Over the lifetime of the unit, better efficiency will have a far greater impact than just using the low GWP refrigerant now. So just retrofitting a low GWP refrigerant may possibly be sometimes may be counterproductive. So we have to be very, very careful in selecting it now. So in many cases, R134A, R414 may be the best option currently available. Okay. So if you see direct versus indirect emissions now, so this is the current thing with there or 134A. So RY513A is there, an equivalent which is there, which currently some manufacturers are using it now. Okay. And but if you see compare with 134A, so this is the positive and negative of the R1513 and as well as 134ZE. So R1234ZE is a HFO. Okay. And again, R1513 compared, it's generally an equivalent for water-cooled centrifugal chillers. So we can use it with the 123ZEE also. Okay. Summary, basically high efficiency is most important contributing today when you select for 98% of TWI with the GWP only 2%. Current preference such as 134A and 41A of moderate GWP with good efficiency being the best choice in many options now. Cost of new refrigerant could be 4 times higher than the current choice now. Some of low GWP refrigerant provide low GWP but high efficiency, making them a great choice. Like say for instance 1233ZE is of course with less toxicity, low flammability, less flammability, and GWP is very, very less. So very few like this it is available currently in the market now. So when we really go into that now, still people are working on this for an ideal refrigerant here. The new refrigerants, if you see that now, there are low pressure, medium pressure, high pressures now. So low pressures now with the equivalent to R123, if you have some replacements, then currently some manufacturers go for 1233ZE and 514A also can be used. The medium pressures for 134 equivalent 513, which is currently used some places, and 450A, they're all still under discussions and testing and developments. And for the R4A, that the high pressure refrigerant for equal replacement, 466A is there. These are of course low GWP, but the performance wise we are yet to see, and there are some mild flammability is also is there. So the potential substitute for R134A moving forward for us to look upon is now 513, 1234YF and 1234ZE. Okay. So generally they use it in chillers and automobiles and of course the smaller units and smaller water-cooled chillers here. So these are all the equivalent and the comparisons of the properties, including safety class, GWP, and compositions now. Some are pure and the R1234 and all pure. 513 is a blend of 134A with 1234A in that case. The potential substitute for 410A currently is there. Around 4 refrigerants are being discussed with industries: 454B, 452B, 466A, or 32. So these are all used basically on rooftops, residential ACs, window ACs, and the small scroll chillers. Of course, R32 windows and VRF there in applications. So this is the compositions of each and every refrigerant, which can substitute for R410A. Again, with the mixing of HFO, HFC blend, HFC is there, and some are HFO, HFC blend with different proportions. Safety class, A2L is there, and A1 is very few. GWP, of course, less than 1,000. All the three are less than 1,000. So uses in the different applications here. So the low pressure options is there. Now you have two options, 1233 ZE. So this is a low pressure. That means the suction pressure will be lower than the atmosphere. So it's like 123, and as well as the earlier R11. So the next alternative is R514A. So R123 ZE is already people manufacturers started using here, and R1514 is there, is also being considered here. This is for the medium pressures refrigerants, where the comparison between these three you can see, but there is no real drop in that. Means just replacement, nothing is there. Everything, some positive, some negative is there. So people still working on for the best ideal refrigerant here. Okay. This is again comparison between 454B and 466A. Okay. So moving forward, so R134A, 400A continues to an excellent refrigerant choice today and the near future also. Both will continue to be available for many years in the new equipment and for service. HVAC industry is becoming more sophisticated because of energy efficiency now. More refrigerants are expected in the future. Industry is becoming more specialized now. Low GWP HFOs and HFC HFO blends are currently, including 134A components, are being developed. And of course, uncertainty in future regulations, we don't know, because every year things are changing because of the global warming, and the new amendments may likely to come. So if the earth warming is continue to be higher more and more, and so that's why now to currently continue to use of 134A and R can help to bridge the transition till real ideal refrigerants are being developed and tested in the manufacturers. Okay, so what's an option now? Okay, currently for, of course, India I'm talking about, so now do nothing now, because now till we are yet to work out on the baseline, and the next level we will be going from reduction level from 80, 25, 35, 65, 85 levels. So it takes up to 2030. It should not be any issue for them using that 134A and 410. If at all, if it comes, maybe at the earlier stage, probably we can recover the refrigerant and reuse for and maintain and preserve refrigerant retrofits if required. When we go for the newly developed ideal refrigerants, of course, if nothing is there, if the equipment life is done, so probably equipment replacement is options. So currently, 134A with so many good things now: no flammability, toxicity widely available, no ODP, moderate GWP, simple manufacture, multiple already type tested and used in the industries now. This one and 410A is going to continue to be in our industries, especially in India. Okay. Many developed countries, manufacturers are already into the developments of the new refrigerant and have really invested millions of dollars in the research and development to come out a reasonable and ideal refrigerant, which should address the minimum 5 criteria which we have understood so far. Until then, let's do our part basically to control and reducing the energy, maybe in two phases. On new installations now, okay, by properly installing and following the good commissioning practices. Secondly, on the running plant, we can conduct detailed energy audits and take necessary corrective and preventive actions now. Upgrade the knowledge of the operating service personnel to operate the HVAC equipments so that it operates near the design, of course, considering the wear and tear on the running unit now. Okay, we all know that, okay, 1 kilowatt saved is, of course, 1 kilowatt produced, and let's do it now. Okay, so with that, I will in closing my current session. So any questions or anything is there, so which we can address it now. Thank you for your patient hearing participation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a very smooth and detailed presentation. There are a few questions which have come in. in the chat box, if you could view. I think we have one question.
Yeah,
So,
can we-
yeah. So R410 is a composition of R32 and 125. So how come it is not inflammable?
okay. Or 1 minute.
Are
Or
you able to see the chat box, sir?
no, I could not see. Hold on, let me see there.
On your screen next to the participants, there's a chat box.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Just click on it so you can find the questions in that. I think couple of questions have come, and I'm sure the other members would start sending in their questions as you answer them.
Ah. Yes. Okay. So what is the criteria for low, medium, high pressure refrigerants? Okay.
Or should I read it out, sir, for you?
Yeah. Okay. I could see some. Okay. And let me see. High.
So there is this one. The first question came in from Mr. Ajay. So 410, R410 is a composition of R32 and 125. So how come it is not inflammable? Why do we not use R410 instead of R32? It's a joint question which they asked.
Okay. Okay. It's a good question. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So that is one. What else is there? That is one.
Of course. And then followed by another question from Mr. Purushothaman. Nice session. What is the criteria for low, medium, high pressure refrigerants?
Okay. Okay. Good. Is it safe to use R32 units? Okay.
You can start in whichever order, sir. It should not be a problem.
Okay. Fine. Let me go through these slides. Okay. R410A. So you are seeing this now. Basically, composition is R32 versus R120, 50-50, right? Its safety class is A1. If you see in the chart, okay, I will show you the chart. Yeah. If you could see that, now, where exactly it is? R410A comes into the, because of the blend for 50-50, it comes into A1. That means no flame propagation. Am I clear now? Okay, because the blend with R32, when it goes to the, that means when it alone, it is A2, that means second level. But when it mixes with R22 and 125, so it becomes the, I don't know, with the proportion, I don't know what changes taking place chemically, but as per the industries, it becomes the A1 category. Is it answer your question?
I suppose, sir. I'm sure if they have further queries, they would.
No problem. If anything is there, I will further, maybe I will just check further. If anything is there, I will share with the team. Please kindly note down. We will communicate. no issue.
I'm unmuting Mr. Purushothaman. He has a couple of questions, so he's raised his hand. So he will ask the question, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. It's Purushottam from Blue Star, from EHS department. Really, it was a very nice session.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I joined a little late because I was busy with some other professional meeting. Okay. See, I just answered this question. When there's a blend, it is not flammable. When it is standalone R32, it is flammable. I'm just to give you the, with your permission, a simple example. See, we are using salt in our salt, sodium chloride.
Okay.
Am I audible? Sorry, some background.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sodium chloride. It's a salt. So when you're using as a salt, it is a combination of sodium and chloride. It is not flammable. But when bifurcate sodium from the sodium chloride, it is highly flammable and explosive.
Okay.
Not a flammable, explosive in nature. So that is where the chemical properties changes when combined with other chemical. That is the reason here. Same thing. So sodium is highly explosive, one of the dangerous element in the world.
Okay, it's very nice explanation. I'm very happy that you have shared this information to all the participants now.
Thank you. Thank you. Same in H2 also, hydrogen and oxygen.
True. So that is why I have shared the combinations of the whole thing, so that everybody can see whatever they have doubt, where they can fit into this in terms of safety wise. If you see this chart, that will tell you exactly whether where it is, whether it is in the flammability is high or low, or maybe toxicity is high or low. So based on that, you can decide while selecting the equipments.
Thank you, sir. Finally, one question. I raised one question. How we are classifying the low pressure refrigerant, high pressure, medium pressure? It will be. I know already this, but only the criteria just.
Basically, only on the operating pressures. If you really see that. So, if you see, for instance, now R123 and 123ZE. So these are all we called in the industries low pressure. That means low operating. Basically, the heat exchangers and the compressors designed for the low pressure.
What PSI, sir, means the range. Low pressure means the own
operating pressures. Yeah, operating pressures. The same way, if you go for medium, 134A, those are all medium. And high, 410A is a higher operating pressures now. So that is the way it's classified. I don't know if anybody can added something, some information. I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So R32 units, yes, the people are using it, but with a lot of precautions are there to be there while servicing the units, because it's some lower flammability is there, but industry started using it. But I'm not sure in India, but in other countries they have started using it. So, any other points? I'm not seeing the chat. If we can read, we can.
Yes, I will do that. There's another question from Mr. Praveen Kumar.
Yeah.
What is exactly high pressure and medium pressure PAC machines? Is it related to refrigerants used?
No,
you have answered it in the earlier.
I think we already discussed the same thing. It is only on the operating pressures inside the systems.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have one question from our very senior member, Mr. Satish Angar.
Oh, nice to hear him.
Yes, sir. There is a cartel, American for 1234ZE or YF, European with the 407C, or NH3 Japanese with R32. Please clarify your unbiased opinion on this. I'm sure the speaker is always unbiased.
Yes. So I think Satish is asking purposely this question to me. Okay, I understood.
May I unmute him, sir?
No, not at all. He's my very, very old best friend. So I have to answer to him now. Okay, so basically, if you see that the people I was telling now, it's like really a game. People are investing really millions of dollars, because like now today COVID vaccines, how much people have invested, and now they are trying to start making money, to be honest. Now the same way pharmaceutical they're doing, the same way the industries, especially on the Freon, they know that without this future it cannot move. So they have invested a lot of money, and naturally they will try to do some cartel, or maybe try to make monopoly, but it is not possible actually. But it is not absolutely not possible. So for instance, 1, 2, 3 is a in Europe, they're not accepting it. So at present, maybe moving forward, we really don't know for the low pressure refrigerants. Okay. So maybe you see for their, it's again, depending upon the cost and availability is going to be a matter in future. That is where if first again availability is the next item cost. These two is going to play a vital role in future availability, and also with so much amendments are going to come in future on this amendment on this one. So the things every year it may change. Probably what today we are enjoying that the developing countries, it may prepone, or they may ask us to do advance. So that is why today we are discussing why they are organizing this, is just to make ourselves understand. Yes, today what others are doing, like Europe, in fact now Europe, they have gone very much ahead. US also gone ahead in implementing these rules and everything and all now. So it may come to us any time. Asia is just currently enjoying, but unless we really gear up and start moving towards the energy efficient refrigerants, and started using and trying, tested in our, and started servicing, so that we become aware of this thing, how to use these refrigerants. So that is a way. But to some extent, Satish, yes or no? Both it is there.
Yeah, good evening, Ganesh.
Good evening. Good evening.
Very nice to hear you.
Nice to
Yes,
hear
I'm
from Satish. Yeah, good. Hope everybody well. And
Yeah, everybody is fine, safe.
be safe. Be
Yeah,
safe.
see, basically, because of this cartel, what is happening is Japanese manufacturers like Daikin, their window splits are coming with R13.
Correct.
They have changed over to a different refrigerant.
True.
So, take case of York, or you take case of in the UK, they have the entire Heathrow airport now is run by ammonia chillers,
True.
which is, yeah. So
Yeah.
the European cartel is running with CO2, ammonia, and all this.
Observe
All
it.
the shopping malls they are running with CO2 chillers now.
Correct.
So, that is what is happening. So we are in midst of both. In the second wave of like a COVID infection, we're in the second wave of refrigerant now.
No.
We are caught in between both.
True. See, Europe is really going to be back to the older age. That means natural refrigerants. Okay, they found that even though with so many toxicity and these things, now they said that is far safe than the new one, because of the refrigeration efficiencies are very good. Okay, so that's why they are going into that. But India, I think currently now we have to wait and watch. So it's because one is the money to invest and do some R&D. Absolutely, it is just impossible for our country. So what we need is only to follow the manufacturers what they do sell, except only to understand on the servicing part, and also to see that now while selecting the equipments. So the 5 criteria we need to see that. That's the only thing we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, so you are given a very vague opinion of yours. I wanted an unbiased opinion. Which side you think is better? The American or the European or the Japanese? You have ABC choice.
Do you have any choice, Satish?
We have all the 3 choices.
We don't have any choice. I'm telling you honestly, we don't have any choice.
We have all the 3 availabilities.
Exactly.
We have American, we have the European, we have the Japanese.
So let's enjoy, start learning everything.
Yes.
Become a master of all.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the positive way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, in fact, now I'll tell you, Indian engineers are far better than any engineers, which comparably I can tell you. I handle many European, US, and other engineers. Okay, so that way, so they focus only on only one mean electrical, mechanical. Okay, chemical means chemical. Nothing beyond that they never touch. But whereas I don't think our engineers are yes, maybe they are jack of all, maybe master of none, but still we are managing. We could be able to do many things in a single-handed one. Okay, so that way I think we are learning that much. I take in the positive way. Since we are getting everything, all the knowledge, so many new equipments, so many new developments are coming into India. So let's learn and try to master maybe in the future days when India become the strong nations. So by the time we will also become the #1. So let's be positive.
Great, great, Ganeshan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, there is one observation from Mr. R. Anisimha. Ammonia is also one of the refrigerants with less than 1 GWP and 0 ODP,
Correct.
with low charge for chillers and with CO2.
Correct.
So there's an observation. I'm sure it's in line. There's a small query actually, or in fact, sorry, in fact, there's a query from Mr. Ravi Prasadian.
Okay.
Can a small spark like electric short circuit ignite the R32 refrigerant?
See, but I'm sure before even launching this, and also people definitely might have done a lot of type tests, and also they might have done created many things like this and tested it over there. Now, otherwise, the product, first of all, it will not pass through the safety test of the individual manufacturers, whoever it may be. Okay, that is one. And this is where, see, the flammability is there. If you really see that now, there are many things based on the there are actually I'm not shown it. There are many criteria. There are 2-3 things. That means a flame velocity and then the distance. There are many things which can then only the ignition can ignite anything over there, even with a spark. The distance covers, the concentrations covers. There are many things which is there. Probably so they might have taken care. The manufacturers might have definitely taken care of these conditions. Even with this condition, nothing should happen. Okay. That is why in A2L. But if it is only A2, yes, there is a chance.
Yes, and there's one more observation with a query from Mr. Shrikesh.
Yeah.
Majority of industry as on today select refrigerant based on ODP and GWP. Why TWI or LCCP method is not used so much, and what all we can do. Secondly, as far as India is concerned, we can safely use 134A till 2047, which will surpass equipment life for any purchase happens today.
Correct.
Still, why consultants or clients go for new refrigerants?
I don't think we are going blindly on any new refrigerants today, unless otherwise is proven, tested, and maybe both in terms of the manufacturing at factory tested or anything like that. Then only things are they are going to launch one. And second, if at all, if it is any new refrigerants are being selected by the consultants, definitely they are knowledgeable people, and they might have given a lot of thoughts for the current and the future requirements. Not only for it is not the consultants. It is sometimes the customer criteria. If you really see, I fully agree with you. Consultants sometimes they may cite it, but otherwise the basic requirements nowadays. Say for instance, if the multinational companies, so they are establishing some here in India. So their first criteria is that we want only this refrigerant, this usage, this equipment like that. So consultant know other options, even though they know, okay, 134K air can work, 410K work, but because of customer insistency, they may go for it now. Other than that, but whatever, even the current HFO which is there being tested, it's absolutely it is good. That much only I can tell you. Beyond that, I may not able to tell. But whereas TWI, what you have said is absolutely right, and today it is catching up with the greenhouse buildings. So everybody is working not only for the full load operation, full load efficiency. They see complete life cycle. I think the trend has already started. I think the consultants community will agree with this. They are already doing it now. Okay.
I think
very few may not be following, but most of the people are doing this. That much I am aware.
Yes, sir. It's been partially answered by Mr. Srinivas. Sustainable approach and corporate roadmaps are driving to opt for HFO refrigerants.
Observe.
Much in line with what you just explained.
True. We are seeing it practically. Okay, so it's not. I don't think every Indian company will do that, but multinational company they are asking for it, no doubt.
In fact, in the meantime, we had Mr. Madhukar signing off. He thanked you for the program. He is our national vice chair programs.
I know.
So
Yeah, we are working.
conveyed his
We are working together for a program for handbook service engineers handbook. We are going to meet him again.
Yes, yes, very true. So these are the present questions what we had,
Okay.
and I'm sure all have been answered.
My one question, if you don't mind,
Yes.
Please.
one of my questions. Sir, I have been observing that most of the compressors and now units are coming with R32 gas, whereas R410 is also equally compatible.
Hmm.
And they go hand in hand, almost all to the pressure and the safety, everything, except R32 being flammable and R410, as you said, inflammable. And what's the reason nowadays most of the components are coming with R32? I mean, most of the units.
Okay. Angaras, ask this question. You are making further this thing now. Okay.
Okay. So it's the same reason.
Yeah. That because other than that now, see, for us, because we are today we are at receiving end. So we suppose, I don't know, maybe if Japanese are promoting this there, probably because they are already developed country. So naturally they are in an urgency to use what is the nearest one which they can use it. Okay, if 410 they cannot, probably for them, I think it has to be moved out. So naturally, what is the next available? So probably nearest one A12. So that is what they are promoting it. For us, we
Great,
have
sir.
choice.
I got the
We
point.
have choice. They may not have a choice. That is a,
Excellent.
but if we buy it, so naturally we have to abide with that.
Fantastic, sir. We had a very excellent session. Fantastic one. I'm through with that. Mr. Vinod, you can continue with your session.
I think Ajay,
Vinod Bhai?
may I request you to give the concluding remarks, please?
Mr. Naresh wanted to speak on membership. Naresh, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, good evening all.
Before that, Naresh,
Yeah.
Mr. Ganeshan, are we through with the entire presentation and question answer?
Yeah, I think if unless anything is still unanswered.
Okay. I think it's been done, sir. I think what has come in the chat box has been fully addressed.
Good.
So we thank, on behalf of IBC, we thank you so much, sir. Now I hand it over to Mr. Naresh to just talk about the membership.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Ganeshan sir, for the presentation.
Thank you.
We just wanted to speak about ISHRE. For all the non-members here, I just wanted to say that ISHRE has around 42 chapters and sub-chapters in India, where they are continuously conducting the product presentations, seminars, workshops, and it is a very good platform to exchange your knowledge and share your knowledge. And this is also very good where people like designers, service engineers, and salesperson get to interact so many people, and you get to interact and grow your networking, so that it helps in your day-to-day activities. So it's just a small request to all the non-members to join ISHRE. And if for joining ISHRE, you can contact me. I'll just message you my number in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you, Ajay sir.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Naresh. These programs are not possible without the active support of our sponsors. So it's very pertinent that we acknowledge them in this program. We have platinum sponsors, ABS, Technogreen, Airtem Solutions for IBC. We also have gold partner Schneider Electric and K12 partner Yaskawa. We also have silver partners. Assure you of more such quality programs in the coming weeks. Till then, stay safe, uh, follow the COVID guidelines, and as members, let's set an example and be the people who always abide by the guidelines. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your Bye.
Thank you. And we are now concluding the program.